One passenger on a rescue flight from India, which arrived in Australia at the weekend, has tested positive for COVID-19. NT Health says the passenger is in quarantine at the Howard Springs facility on the outskirts of Darwin. Hynes reports from Howard Springs.
Ros, this is the first detected case of coronavirus among repatriated Australians from India since those repatriation flights resumed over the weekend following the lifting of the federal government's controversial India travel ban. NT Health authorities say the positive case is in isolation in the Howard Springs quarantine facility, and the one positive case is a dramatic reduction in the number of cases that were seen on those Indian repatriation flights. At one point, we did see 55 active cases at once inside the Howard Springs quarantine facility, which is what prompted those flights to be suspended in the first place. But of course, there were only 78 people on that repatriation flight because about half the people that were due to be on board were refused because they'd either tested positive themselves or were deemed a close contact of someone who had tested positive. There are still questions, though, Ros, about the testing regime in place in India, given the ABC learned over the weekend that the laboratory used to test the passengers in India before they boarded the flight had been stripped of its accreditation, and several people who were refused boarding have now tested negative. But there is that one positive case, and it is the first to be detected among the Indian repatriation flights, and there are two more of those flights scheduled before the end of the month.
Okay. And Nick, another flight has arrived there today. Who was on that?
Yes, well, I'm at the RAAF base here in Darwin. It's where a repatriation flight from the United Kingdom landed about an hour and a half ago. There are about 144 Australians returning from the United Kingdom who are currently being processed inside the facility. They'll shortly come out these gates on buses where they'll travel to the Howard Springs quarantine facility, and they'll be quarantining there with the other repatriation flights. And we are seeing an ongoing expansion of the facility, although of course there is at the moment a very stringent focus on the case numbers coming from India. There are plans to next month expand to 1,000 weekly arrivals. That's from countries including Canada, South Africa, India and the United Kingdom, among others. But that is entirely dependent on making sure that those case numbers in the facility don't reach more than 50 at any one time. Ros.
Nicholas, thank you.